Come on.
They're right there!
Let's go. Move, 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 move.
This episode of Choices Not Chances podcast is sponsored by Louisiana Gun Shop, located on Highway 90 West in Broussard, Louisiana, just south of Lafayette. For more information, stay tuned at the end of this episode. This is Choices Not Chances podcast with Ryan and Matt. I'm your co-host, Matthew Charette. Sitting next to me is Ryan Rogers. Ryan.
Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for coming on. Just like every other episode, if you listen to something in this episode that resonates with you, that you know needs to be shared out to the greater community, please share it out. Today's guest, his name is Marc Arrington. I met Marc about a year ago. I was up at a VFW meeting. I take part in the local VFW and stay affiliated and stay working and volunteering up there. And at that meeting, I was going to make a proposal that we give some money to a veteran that had came across, my window. Basically, somebody that knew me decided to share with me that this veteran was in need. He was a former 31 machine gunner, fought in the front lines of the nation's battles as a infantry grunt, and then gets out during COVID, going to school to be I believe a registered nurse in the end, but was in school for that and to fight again, selfless act to give back, and was tragically hit with a situation where he lost his wife during the pregnancy or the delivery of daughter, son. Daughter, right. And baby's born. Now this guy loses his wife, and he's just in a horrible situation. Just a situation that when I was told about it just gutted me. It's just like, if I possess any power to help this person, this is the person you help. If you're at the VFW, if you have, my thought was, if we have anything in us as a VFW to take care of veterans of foreign wars, this guy has put it on the line time and time again, and now has been struck with a complete catastrophe, a complete tragedy, and we should help this person. And so I gave my pitch at the VFW members meeting. They agreed to give like $1,000 or $1,500, which I thought was great because we're giving and people are giving, but that wasn't going to do it. Like that, I needed to find something else. And I guess as fate would have it, I don't know any other way really to look at it. Marc was there on his first, members meeting, I believe, or one of the first members meetings.
I think it might have been the first one.
First one, and kind of connected with me after and said, I don't know what this means or what we can do, but I had just gotten, a transmission or an email from the boss of my company who's really looking to help a veteran in need, for the holidays. And I was like, oh my God. And so really I passed it over to Marc from there, and Marc was able to, with his company, raise an astronomical amount of money and help this guy. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But that was my introduction to Marc Arrington as somebody that I wanted to know more about. And then he followed that on with being involved up there, running the first and then second annual cruise, trying to raise money for different foundations, including the
Marine Raider Foundation.
The Marine Raider Foundation and others that we'll talk about. And this is somebody that's like, hey, hang on. We're in the same vein. We're trying to do the same mission by different means, and we need to collaborate and have a conversation. So, Marc Arrington, thanks for coming out to the show, man. I appreciate you making the drive down here to be involved and to record, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me, man, and everything that you've done for me so far.
Well, likewise, I appreciate everything you've done for me and continue to do for the community, warfighting community in the local area. Usually in the beginning, I just ask some pointed questions. You've heard some of my shows, so you probably, have an idea. But I want to know the family culture in which you come from, where you come from, the people you come from, siblings, was religion in the household, sports, things of that nature. And so I can kind of understand where you come from.
Yeah, so I'm one of six. So my dad was a busy man. My dad is a physician. His family is long line of physicians in the South. Born in Pascagoula, Mississippi, which is about as south as you can get in the middle of a hurricane. So maybe I'm a little bit turbulent from that. You never know. But my mom and my father were both present there during my upbringing. Can't really complain. I had the classic type of upbringing, strong neighborhood. Kids were always running around. We always had a lot of interaction with everybody else. We had the house that everybody would come over to.
Sure.
And it was just a good upbringing. But I would, born in Mississippi, raised in Alabama and Florida, and then I kind of was a troubled youth a little bit. All because of my own fault, right? And I made choices. We're on a podcast called Choices. So I was a troubled youth. But I tell you what, I think through my trials and tribulations as a young man, it kind of made me think a different way. It made me a little bit more street smart than I probably would have been with my upbringing that I had at the time. And I had a lot of lucky breaks, man. A lot of people that helped me out that didn't have to. Law enforcement, school principals, sheriffs at my high schools or whatever else, because I was a shithead. Straight up I was.
Define shithead.
Oh dude, I was not going the right way, you know what I mean? I was probably heading to prison. And
People helped out.
Oh yeah, I did. The Marine Corps helped out, honestly, man. I was one of those just kind of misguided youths, not because of any sort of parenting issues or whatever else. It was my own fault. I take ownership of it today. But if I would not have gone into the Marine Corps, some stuff would have changed. And truth be told, everybody wants to talk about where they were at during 9/11. I was in 9th grade up in North Dakota because I had ran away from freaking Florida to North Dakota when I was 13, which it happened. And then I was up in North Dakota and I'm sitting there watching Channel 1 news. Do you remember Channel 1? It was they had it on some of the high schools or whatever else. It was Student Network or whatever the hell else. And here comes the Twin Towers coming down. I'm like, nah, dude, you don't come over and mess with America on our soil, right? Yeah. And then
even in 9th grade, you feel that way.
Oh yeah. Well, I always, it was one of those things in the back of my mind. I always wanted to be like a Marine. I come from a family of healers, on my mom's side and my dad's side, both long legacy of physicians. My grandmother was one of the first physicians ever to graduate as a female out of the University of Berlin.
Oh wow.
And then going back on her side, they had a lot of war-torn things, obviously coming from Germany. And then half of that side is Jewish. So my grandfather's side actually had to escape Nazi Germany. My great-grandparents died during the Holocaust. Apparently they committed suicide before they had to go up to the ghettos from the family story that we had heard. But then my granddad actually went over to the Philippines, which is where they had my mom. But he actually was, if family legacy and the way that things are passed down actually are accurate or not, I don't know. I was not there. But he actually was a spy for he did some clandestine opportunities against the Japanese because the Japanese looked at him as a German. The Japanese did not factor in you're a German Jew. So he was able to actually teach he would go on there, teach them how to box and everything else, and then obviously he was passing information to the Allies during World War II.
Wow. And
then he was able to come over here. I guess I'm second generation American because my mom was obviously born in the Philippines. So I think that makes me
second generation.
Second generation.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah. Either way, but having that type of background and.
But was there times that did you hear stories growing up of those things that was open and shared?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That it happened.
Yeah.
Even my grandmother, we called her Omi, which is German for grandmother. She lived to be 96, and even at her funeral, she had wrote memoirs about what it was like when the Russians came in and being stopped at checkpoints when she was trying to escape Germany at the time, and how terrified she was because she had so many of her other friends that had very bad things happen to them because obviously when the Russians went in there, they were not nice to the German people, which I think if you look at history, was probably a pretty bad thing that we let them take Berlin. But, they probably made the best decision that they could have made at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you grow up having this rich history of not only, people that served in some sort of rebellion and some sort of military, but also on the clandestine side, possibly, and in a very geopolitical atmosphere. I mean, and so if you're inundated with that coming up, and that's the stories that you're being told, then I would say that being a Marine's probably a pretty good route to take. Like that's probably what it would feel like.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people follow in their father's footsteps and stuff, and I mean, my father was a physician, and there was nothing about that I really wanted to do. I love my father; he's a brilliant man, but there was just some thing in me that was like, cool, I want to take the road less traveled by. Like, I want to go to the left. And obviously I was a little bit of an angrier young man in my younger days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just wanted to fight. And, the Marine Corps very much taught me, discipline. It taught me how to take care of others in front of myself, man. And I mean,
selflessness.
Yeah. I mean, and I was in charge from day one, like straight up. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about, if you hire a veteran, if you're dealing with veterans in the community, I mean, those are people that are going to take charge, and they're going to take ownership of wherever the hell they're at.
That's right.
Because that's what they were made to do.
That's right. And the Marine Corps does a good job. I've said it a lot of times on the show before, but the Marine Corps does a good job of making you lead or fail to lead. At least you give you the opportunities at a very early time in your life. I mean, I think the first squad I led was at 22. 21 maybe. I was leading a squad into combat. Led squads after that, probably way better. But I had those early stepping stone deployments to kind of mold me. And you would hope that all that would come in training. It's just the fact is it does, in our timeline coming in, it was a constant in and out rotation. So, there was training, but it wasn't always, probably what you wanted it to be, or as long as you wanted it to be.
Here I always say like this, right? So you're already fucked up, now fix it. You know what I mean? And that's the Marine Corps mentality. Like there's nothing perfect, right? Maybe Chesty Puller someplace, wherever he is at. He might have been the last perfect Marine, but everybody else is trying to catch up. You know what I mean? So you're fucked up from the jump, fix it, and then always get better, because ultimately it's not about you. It's about the dude behind you to your right and left.
That's right. Know yourself and seek self-improvement.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite leadership principle.
Absolutely. And you have to be honest with yourself to carry that through. And because nobody likes to admit where they struggle or where they're faulty or where they're uneducated. Nobody likes to have that conversation. But I think it behooves anybody out there, especially if you're a NCO in the ranks right now, to find a mentor who is not afraid to bust you and say, hey, this is what you need to do. And then you need to be open-minded enough to say, yep, roger that. Know yourself, get that improvement on. So that's just a little caveat right there. So I would also say that, so you're inundated with this growing up. You have family history, rich family history of things we've mentioned growing up. And then you have a 9/11. And the way I've worded it in the past for myself is that I had this yearning for adventure and for, but it was just displaced. I had nothing to aim at. And then when 9/11 happened, it like ignited that purpose. Like, this is what you were supposed to be headed to. Did you have that same kind of feeling, or
when it became like the purpose, I would say, right? Like, I mean, during my senior year, right, all I did was fucking run and train to go be in the Marines. I was in a delayed entry program 10 months before I ever fucking graduated. You know what I mean? Like, that was that. And and I just started kind of pushing myself in that direction. Obviously I wish I would have had some other Marines, possibly like my family or extended family, where I could have gone and talked to them about like, hey, like, this is a job they're going to offer me or whatever else. But hey, at the end of the day, the Marine Corps recruiter is really fucking good.
it's fact.
Yeah, that's fact. He can sell anything. I ended up joining. I wish I would have joined a different job starting off, but I can't really say that because hindsight's always 20/20.
Yep.
And I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now with everything going on. Like, I'm in a good place.
Like,
man.
in general, it seemed to have worked itself out.
Correct. Yeah.
Now tell me about that. You didn't come in as an 03. What'd you come in as?
I came in as a 6541, and I was told that I was going to fly around the back of C-130s and drop shit out, which is not what they do whatsoever. And
and what's that designator for, though?
That's ordnance.
Aircraft ordnance.
Yep.
Ordnance.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're loading bombs and unloading bombs and things of that nature.
So there's two separate ones, right? So there's like O level and I level. I level like builds the bombs, whereas O level hangs the bombs.
Okay.
So I was I level, and personally, I'll be really honest, I'm not a super mechanically sound person. That's not my bread and butter.
It's not your forte.
That's not my forte. And they're like, cool, here, go build bombs and shit. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll figure it out. And I was successful at it. I took care of my people and I did what I needed to do, but I very much was like, wow, this is not what I joined the Marine Corps for. You know what I mean? And I'm
sure.
No, not at all. I mean,
It's a different stroke than what you thought you were getting into.
It was, and I don't think it quite fit my mentality well either, right? I was like fucking Motard Mark over there, PTing the air wing guys, you know what I mean? Like,
I bet they loved you.
Oh yeah, they actually did, man. At the end of the day, they really do, man. When you actually treat everybody equally, like we're all here, man. You know. Well,
the one thing is, like, when you were there, you went there first.
Yeah.
If you went there second, it would have been different. You might would have felt it, because culturally it is a different world. Yeah. Culturally, it's a different culture. It's a different culture completely. Mm-hmm. It's all one Marine Corps. I understand that, but special operators and infantry guys come from this culture over here, and generally, anybody that's not direct ground support is going to have a different culture.
Yeah.
I mean, signs saying you can't cuss in the office kind of culture. Which is almost laughable when you come from the other side. Like, what? Fuck that. I need you help. Come here. Lunch? What? Come here. I need you. But if you go to that side first, it's like, okay, I'm still going to do my thing. I'm still going to be a Marine, and I know where I want to go. Correct. Or did you yet? Did you know where you wanted to go?
Oh, first thing I did when I got to the fleet as a Lance Coolie is I put in a recon package. And I got told, no, asshole, like, you're going to be an ordnanceman. You were trained to be an ordnanceman. Go on a deployment, come back, and then you can go recon.
So you knew, though, that this isn't my world and I need to get in that other world.
Instantly.
Okay.
Instantly. To the point where I tried to have it changed in boot camp. It's just the only person that could have it changed in boot camp was the guide, and I wasn't the guide. So that instant, yeah.
And that's 2004, right?
2004,
Same year I came in.
Yeah, because, I had all my buddies, and, they were just shipping out back and forth, man, just going most of them were infantry, and they were just going back and forth, man, 6 months on, 6 months off, right, which is what I signed up to do. I just kind of listened to what my recruiter told me at the time. It was like, oh man, just go recon second you hit the thing. And
like, it's just no big deal and you'll have plenty of opportunity.
Well, if I would have been 03, it would have been easy because I went through and I got like water survival fucking 1 going through boot camp because the drill instructors just drowned the shit out of me the whole time. But I was a swimmer growing up, so I was fine with it.
Right.
And anybody that did that was an 03 went straight recon. So
would have been a thing.
Yeah, wouldn't have been a thing. I just fucking, I signed the contract at the wrong point. You know what I mean? But it's all good.
I get it.
It's all good. They got me. But, I had to work through that for a while, and then I finally, went over to MARSOC, and I think I went and tried out in like 2010. And, I was an air winger going through MARSOC. Obviously, they're like, hey, you ain't gonna fucking make it. I was candidate 1, too. Which I'm
good. That was your number?
Oh yeah, 01.
Sweet.
Yeah, which number 1 never makes it. It's just it's one of those like sayings.
And, did you train up for it?
Oh hell yeah. Fuck
so
yeah.
you do your time in the air wing. You come back. Now, did you go to Iraq with the air wing?
Yep.
Right. Okay. So then you come back from that deployment. You've got a deployment under your belt, and they're like, okay, you can go try out.
Pretty much.
So you go to recon and you take an NDOC.
No,
or
you go to
MARSOC.
Yeah,
MARSOC.
You go to ANS.
So you go to
at the
ANS.
Time. Yep, you go to ANS at the time and you do the NDOC.
Right. So now you're at ANS as number 01.
01.
And they're saying there's no way you're going to make it.
No way I'm going to make it. Yep. Sergeant.
Because you're an air winger.
Oh yeah.
That's why.
Oh no. And 01 apparently it's just one of those fucking
traditions.
Yeah. Supposedly 01 never makes it, right? And I was an air winger at the time, so obviously, you know what I mean. Like,
so you had some things stacked against you in the instructor's eyes for sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But you were extremely physical fit and you could swim good. Okay.
And I was a team player.
Well, that's kind of what ANS is going to find out, right? They
don't
really care if you're the number 1 best runner. They want you good, but if you care about the team over yourself,
peer reviews, baby.
Yeah.
If your peer reviews straight up say that you're like, trying to do everything for yourself or whatever else, man, that shit gets sniffed out in a heartbeat. And the second you get that stigma, you're done.
It's done. Yeah,
you're done. I don't care how fast you are or whatever else.
That's going to happen in ANS, but that shit happens in the fleet. I mean, we have to wade through it in the fleet a little more because at least where you're going, people had to come and sacrifice and hurt to try to get through to be there, and it's just not the case in the fleet. You got guys that came because they didn't want to go to jail, and other reasons, and so it's like I always admired that. I always looked up to SF, and Raider, recon Raiders, all SF, because they operate different. It's a different culture again. And another thing, and we'll talk about it a little bit later when we kind of get to the end, but I like the way SF and all of the branches take care of their dudes even after they're injured, wounded, sick. And it's not like that in the fleet. It's like, oh, you're taking up a boat space. I need a new NCO. You're gone. Somebody else's problem is how it's looked at. Where in SF, it's not like that. Oh, you want to get better? All right, we're going to get you better. You got a year to get better. Oh, you want to keep going? I don't care that you don't have a leg. I'm going to let you keep going as long as you can pass all of these things.
Right, yeah.
And that's just never the case, in the fleet, or wasn't while I was coming up.
They're trying to get better about it, and I'm actually part of a veterans business collective, and I'm, wholeheartedly pushing this initiative where, guys that are going through their little TRS thing or whatever else, that obviously they've already put in their paperwork, they're getting out, right? So like the Marine Corps essentially has lost them at this point. But give them to us for at least for just an hour, and let us kind of like say, hey, this is what civilian life is actually like. This is the ways that we can benefit you going forward, where you're not going to have to make all like the same mistakes and go through all the same pain that I did, right? Which is honestly, if you want to talk about like philosophically, it's the idea of like shoulders of giants. What does that actually mean? It pretty much means that we always base everything that we do off of great works of the past.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And why... give them to us for like an hour of their time and let us school them up. If, hey, we're just going to make you be more successful in the future because we've already gone through all the muck and water of this civilian world.
Yep.
And let us help you get better, because that's what the shit's supposed to all be about. Right?
100%. And I think that that's huge, because SEPs and TAPs, TRS, these are not, I don't care what anybody thinks about them. They're not good programs. Yeah. They do not transition you. And I know that at least I think the Marine Corps is getting a bit better because they have that skill bridge now where you can intern under other people for an extended period of time. And I think that's great. I think that's actually trying to set somebody up. And the biggest thing that I find where I try to fill in my vein is those guys that get out and they lose purpose, or they don't have purpose. And I try to tell them, like, you don't understand what it's like until day one of being retired, and there's a hole inside you because you're not fulfilling a selfless, bigger than self act anymore, even though you might not have realized that's what that came from when you were active. Yeah. So you might get out and think that you're going to be perfectly fine until it starts eating at you, that you're not feeling that anymore. And the only thing I've found to fill that for me is to give back, be more selfless. And the more selfless you could be, the blessings are returned somehow.
Oh, yeah.
It always figures itself out, but I don't have to walk
karma, whatever you want to call it, dude. Yeah, 100%.
Whatever you want to call it, but I don't walk around with that pit anymore feeling like I'm not doing something. And that is what that pit comes from. And if you're transitioning, try it. Just try going and helping somebody with zero expectation that they'll ever see you again or know of you. And when you do that, you'll find a little peace. I guarantee it. If you've never done it, you'll find a lot of peace. So sorry, just had to segue right there, because and that's another thing that why I wanted to sit down and talk to you, because every single interaction we've had, we've been helping people. Either I was trying to help somebody, you were trying to help me help somebody, you're trying to help other people with your cruises, and I'm like, this is somebody that I need to talk to because of that. Like, we're very alike in that frame. So, okay, so let's move on to here, and I don't want to talk too much about A&S because you guys that are getting ready to go into A&S doesn't need, in my opinion, don't need to hear anything about A&S. Like, it should be a surprise. It should be a secret. And you should be, judged without any foreshadowing from anybody else, in my opinion.
Train
so that
hard.
It stays, train hard. Suck it up. It's going to suck, and you got to get through it. But take me from after there, because after that, things are going to change from you once you pass, or let's say take me to the point where you find out that you have been selected.
So, I mean, I was part of like the auto selects list, so they have a couple different lists, and I'm not going to go deep into it or whatever else, but there's certain ones that you're like, cool. And depending on which CO at the time, they kind of can change up the program as they see fit. But I was on the auto select list, so essentially we get brought outside, and everybody, of course, like, if you're a humble Marine, you're like, oh, dude, I didn't make it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't make it. Mm-hmm. And then
probably until you see the company that you're around, because you know who's good and who's not at this point.
Yeah.
You're like, there's no fucking way he's going home.
Right.
I'm gonna go.
Like, I found my points. He found his.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we get taken out, and then obviously they bring us over to our gear. We get to make a phone call, right? And you never really realize how nice a phone call is until you can't do it anymore,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like
dude.
phone call from boot camp, phone call from Iraq, Afghanistan, like a phone call actually starts to actually matter again. Whereas like now you're back here, it's just like, oh, I don't have entertainment for 2 seconds, and all of a sudden I'm empty.
Oh yeah.
But you get selected, you go, and then it's time to train, man. It's not time to slack off.
No, but I
It's
mean,
time-
what happens? Like, so you're like, okay, I'm selected. Does your MOS designator change over, or do you have to then go to school, then it changes? Like, how's that all work?
So you become an 03XX, right?
Okay,
So
okay.
after you get selected, you get put in the pool of guys that are going to be slated for training, right? So then you go to the individual training course, and depending on like where at, like there's a bunch of nuances. Obviously, the monitor has to release you from one, but obviously, MARSOC for the most part takes precedence over most other things, unless it's just a very special billet that you're filling or something. else.
Right.
But yes, I mean, you get selected, you go to ITC. Obviously, in between ANS and ITC, for all the new guys that are going to be going through, do not slack off. Obviously, remain healthy during that time, but your ass needs to be working out because ITC is like ANS.
Break off.
Oh, yeah. ITC is a break-off session the entire time, and it's freaking 9 months long.
Yep.
And it's like every day you're there to work.
You're proving something. Yeah.
Yeah, always, man. At the end of the day, I think everybody needs to prove something to themselves every day, regardless
100%.
of whatever the hell they do.
But if you think about it, I had, well, you said you listened to Gordon Emanuel on the way up here. He made a good comment in his episode saying there are probably only 2 places that you actually have to prove yourself every single day in the Marine Corps. And that's training or going into combat and the recruiting field.
Yeah.
Because almost every other place you can show up, you can do bare minis, you can etch through, but if you don't make quota and if you don't fight like somebody's trying to kill you, those are 2 places that's the proving ground. You have to.
Yep.
You have to. So anyway, go ahead.
And I mean, going through everything, man, I always just looked at every place I always went, dude. I always wanted to be number one at every
Sure.
one of them. Because at the end of the day, like, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Why are you doing it?
Yeah, why are you doing it? Like, I mean, cool. Like, take some humble pie when you're not number one. You know what I mean?
And
But-
learn from number one.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And just push yourself as hard as you fucking can, because at the end of the day, you get one chance at this.
Yeah, you're not getting out of this alive.
You know what I mean? Nobody's getting out of this shit alive. And I'd rather be on my deathbed thinking like, yo, dude, my knees hurt, my back hurts,
I
but
pushed.
I fucking pushed it, dude.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I
it.
mean? I pushed the envelope the best that I could.
And you got kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who are they watching?
Absolutely.
You got to push.
That's where you have
Like, you got 12 years in the beginning of their life to make an impact on who they thought their dad was, right?
Correct.
I try to push that hard too, because most of my peers are, we came in the same year. Most of my peers got 2-3 hit of kids now, on the verge of retirement and dropping that pack and kicking into that easy life. And it's like, nah, dog. How old are your kids? 6, 8, 10, like mine?
5 and 8, dude.
Yeah, right. So you got to push, or
yeah.
they're not going to know like the machine that you are now. If you don't continue to push and continue to instill into them hard work and effort. We got a nation full of people that don't want to work right now.
Oh yeah, the pack's never off, right? The pack's
It
never
can't.
off.
It
It's
can't.
never off. It's
It
never
can
off.
change. It can change shape and form.
Yep, it's up here now more.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know what
dude.
I mean? Like, it's not on my back as much as it was, but it's
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
It's more up here now, man. But at the end of the day, like,
That's a heavy pack up there too, though.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, man. Because I mean, I tell you what, you get out and you get into the civilian world, and I mean, I'm commission based, right? Like that is a
You
straight
don't
up,
sell, you don't make money.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to talk about like you can be as good as you think you're at your job, but how much money did you make last month or whatever else? And it's a very, very clear, concise thing, right? And I always looked at it like a lot of my guys would get out and be like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna go get this GS job, or I'm gonna go get this salary job or whatever else, man." And what I always tell them is this: "Cool, bro. Like that salary job pays you $10,000 a month, but you ain't making 12.
Never. Not 1 month.
Never."
Yeah.
Like, so you got to wait for some dude to freaking die in order to take over his job or retire in 10 years. And I mean, that's just, to me, that's a prison.
Well, and it depends on who you are, I think,
It is.
because there are people who are employee mindset driven. Hey, this is my job. I'm going to do this job. This is how many hours I'm going to do this job. And that's the check I'm getting. And I like that.
Yep.
Might not be prison to them. That might be structure.
Absolutely.
Coming into your world saying, I don't know, babe, I only sold one house and I got 6 days to sell another one, or the mortgage bill doesn't get paid.
I better get hungry.
It's
right?
time to grind,
Yeah.
right? And some people get off on that. My dad that's been his grind for his entire life. That's what I watched up growing. Company to company to opportunity. But it's like, that's his mindset. And he would feel like this was a prison over here, this 8 hours doing this for somebody else. That's what he would feel like.
Yep.
And he did that time. And then eventually he snapped and said, nope, I'm going to have my own. Whether it's big or small, it's going to be mine.
Right.
And I think that's liberating because for me, I was always employee.
That's a lot of risk. That's a lot of risk.
I got paid twice a month from the Marine Corps my entire adult life.
Yep.
And then transition happened. And I, you know, I'm blessed. The Marine Corps took care of me. I didn't stop. Like, you got to keep grinding. You got to keep giving back. And damn the money. Yeah. Like, you have to do something. You sit there with your thoughts and your memories of your friends, and you will spin, and nothing gets better that way. Sitting still. You have to keep going forward.
Yep.
So
no, I totally agree, man. I think a lot of the problems that a lot of guys have with, you know, things that have happened in the past, you know, we can have an argument, is it more natural to kill somebody or not natural? I don't think it's a natural thing to kill your own species. Nope. It's just not. You know, even like if you look at like apes and everything else, very seldomly when they actually go to fucking war.
Oh yeah.
And very, very seldomly is there any fatalities. They will hurt each other, they will maim each other, but at the end of the day, they do not kill each other. It is kind of unnatural. We just have these just magnificent weapons of war nowadays. It just
100%.
Makes it too fucking easy.
I don't think it's I agree with you. It's
easy.
Different. It's physically,
not mentally easy.
No,
physically
yeah.
easy. It is not
physically
hard to fucking squeeze a trigger on a machine gun, right? But back in the day, it was like, cool, how long did you have your fucking longbow for before you're fucking accurate?
Or
with your
how many
longbow?
good swings can you take with that 20-pound sword?
Yeah. Yeah, and I guarantee you, swing that sword, you're worrying about that sword hitting you back too.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
somebody else is right in front of you, right? But that's, you know, they didn't. I don't know.
I agree with you. It's not natural.
It's not.
Grossman talks about it in On Killing and On Combat. And these are books that are
Great books.
in our time were required readings for NCOs coming up. And I don't know if they still are, and if they're not, they should be.
They're still on the list. Now, whether or not people actually read them or not,
Dude, I hope they're getting better about that.
You should try to read a book every week if you can.
Oh my gosh.
Audible saved me so much. I was just never a fast reader. You know what I mean?
You click them on while you're traveling or something?
Hell yeah. And I got this other app called Blinkist, whereas if you like, you don't know if you want to listen to the book or not, you can hear like a 15-minute synopsis, and you're like, okay, cool. I was digging what they were talking about the book, and then you go get the book.
Yeah.
I want more because at the end of the day, man, just like you said, like constantly pushing forward, constantly seek knowledge, right? It's the same thing you talked about. Know thyself and seek self-improvement. You don't know everything, right? I like to think of shit like Socrates, right? The only thing I know is that I know nothing.
The more I know I know nothing about it at all.
Hell yeah, dude. And
that was my college experience, yeah. And if you think you're the smartest person in your circle, you need to get a new damn circle. That's point blank, period. If you are the best in your sphere of influence and there's nobody influencing you, like, that's great that you're influencing your sphere, especially if it's positive. But if you don't have somebody that's mentoring you and influencing, you know, teaching, helping you grow from there, then what are you doing? Right. You're sitting still. Yeah. And you're going to get passed up sitting still.
That's why I go to Muay Thai and get my ass beat, man.
I see the shiner on the eye. Dude, I love it, man. I see you get here. I'm like, yeah, oh, yeah.
Dude, I mean,
after it.
I mean, there's always going to be somebody better at Muay Thai than me. 100%, dude. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be some humbling thing. And, you know, you get punched in the face and you're like, oh, I messed up. That was my fault. And I'm going to get better.
I'm going to learn a lesson from that.
I'm going to learn a lesson from it. I'm going to constantly get better. Just like any mistake that we make. I think that so many people are so scared about failing.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, and they don't ever push themselves to achieve greatness. And like, I swear, like, I see it through like my friends, just people that I talk with on a daily basis. They will sit there and talk themselves out of a good idea, and you're just like, why?
Just go. Hit the gas and take a chance. Leave the shore, right?
Fail 1,000 times to succeed once, man. You know what I mean?
I seen a quote the other day that said, while you sit here in self-doubt and pity of what you could be, others are intimidated by your potential.
Yep.
Others look at you and go, God, look how great they could be. Yeah. And you sit there thinking, am I good enough? Like, take a chance one time. Right. Go, let me show you who I am. That's the attitude you should take into, you know, any endeavor. I'll show you how great I am. And if you don't have that, and you know, unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people do have that. You know, maybe it's the way they were raised. Maybe it's the culture that they came from. Maybe somebody didn't tell them that they were good enough for anything their whole life. But at some point, you have to break that. Or, you're good. It could be a little too much of both. Of one or the other. Yeah, children should grow up knowing that they're capable of anything and that
they should be pushed.
And that they're going to be pushed to be their best. And And we need to also be doing that to ourselves for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be afraid, E-Man, that's one of the quotes out of E-Man's work. Just don't be afraid to leave the shore. Leave the shore.
Oh,
Like you got to at some point look back and say, yeah, that opportunity is worth taking a risk. And then take the risk. The worst thing that can happen is it all falls apart and you got to start over. But people have been doing that forever.
Yeah.
Really, really, really successful people have been doing that. So, yeah, man, leave the shore. Okay, so you go through the 9-month ITC. Let's get back to the.
Yeah. Sorry, we're all over the place.
Kind of get straight out.
It's all good, man. It's all good. This is how I usually think, anyways. I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Garage talks, man.
Hey, it's all good, man.
So you get done with ITC, and you fall into a team then, or you get placed, or how's that work out?
Yep. So you get done with ITC, and depending on how well you rank up, right, you kind of get to pick your battalion. So first, second, and third. And at the time I was going through, first was the one that was going to Helmand quite a bit, and they were going over there deploying quite rapidly. And then all of our leadership, all of our instructors for the most part, I mean, it was called like First Marine Special Operations School because we had so many people from First over there. So obviously they were pretty influential. Like, you look up to those guys. And, I wanted to go over to First. So I went over to First and, I was like, okay, cool, yeah, Afghanistan, let's go, right? And they were like, okay, yeah, First is now regionalized, and
didn't get that region.
Yeah, well, I got PACOM, which was strategically important, but at the end of the day, that's I joined. I was air winger, not what I wanted to do. Go to Marine Special Operations. I was like, okay, cool, 9/11, this is what I joined for, and then there's like, okay, cool, PACOM. And, I get put over on a team over there. I get put on a free fall team.
Now, for people that don't know what PACOM is.
Pacific Command.
Yep. And so where are you going to be operating in Pacific Command?
So Pacific Command, usually you're going to be in and around Guam and then just kind of branch out, right? So, like, Guam's kind of like our base hopping.
That's the hub, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of where we go. For the most part, like, we fell under a SEAL command, but things have changed and... I don't want to get into too much of, where we're all geographically located and everything else. But a lot of things have changed. But obviously we're in the Philippines quite heavily now. That's kind of gone in and out. But, obviously being over in PACOM, counter China was kind of like our main thing.
That's the goal. Now, was that the goal when you got there?
Oh, when I got there, it was mostly Korea.
Yeah.
At the time. We were...
Because what year was it when you...
I was 13.
13 year... Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. And then a shift comes... to the Pacific after Mattis releases the...
I would want to say like 14. Like 14 is when like the stuff really started pushing out. But then, during Obama, he did his national security strategy very much was a big pivot to China.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and obviously China's great. It's a competitor of ours. Obviously, I very much, I do not personally think that it behooves anybody in this type of globalization that we find ourselves in to have a huge conflict like that ever again. No. Like look at Ukraine and Russia. It's not going to work out well. Look at Afghanistan. Personally, we should have made that a punitive war and called it what it was. Gone over there, did what we needed to do, and said thank you for your time. And at the end of the day, like that's what that should have been. Unfortunately, we want to think that if we break something, we have to fix it, and it doesn't always work out that way. Which is just the Powell Doctrine, which goes back to World War II. But World War II was a different thing. You know what I mean? Just totally different thing.
I think they were trying to educate them. I think that's one of our goals, and maybe necessary goals. Because if you look at the amount of people that tried to invade Afghanistan, specifically the Panjshir Valley where the resistance is from, all the way back to Alexander the Great, Tamerlane, all the way through, one of the big mistakes that was documented was that they'd come over there and crush them and never set anything up to educate them onto like proper culture or how they wanted them to end up. And it's like, I don't know if you really can do that there.
But you're gonna run into something.
Spend billions of dollars to continue to build up the things that you broke has been one of my pet peeves the whole time. It's like, if you fucked with America, maybe you need your stuff broke. Maybe it needs to take you a decade to build your infrastructure back up.
Well, it's nation building is nation building, right? But nation building, like, cool. Like, if I'm building Paris, that's different. Paris is older than we are, right? They have hundreds and hundreds of years of their culture that is established in it's a Western country. You cannot say that I'm going to go over to Afghanistan and then try to impede on their culture that they have over there, because they have a very old culture as well. It's just their culture is not like our culture, which doesn't mean it's better or worse, whatever else.
Correct. Correct.
Obviously I don't like the Taliban. You know what I mean? I think that people want to be free.
Sure.
Fundamentally. And I think, ask me in 20 years how Afghanistan is, I guarantee you that Afghanistan is going to be a lot like it was in the 70s, vice how it is today.
Yeah, and
a lot of people don't even understand
hopefully,
that.
hopefully, I'm writing. My new book is kind of taking a deep dive into it, especially Panjshir and Ahmad Shah Massoud and the resistance, and then
Yeah, that would have been a lot different war if he didn't get killed on the freaking
two days
September 9th.
before.
Yep.
Yeah. And, I mean, his sons rose up and kind of joined the Mujahideen to be their leader and called out to people, but it's like. Man, there's a lot of resistance right there, and that could have went several different ways. And I think he was probably the right leader for the people. He didn't want to oppress the women. He wanted to educate the entire population. And then he had like French philosophers and the CIA, MI6, all these people working, with him to try to better this place. Yeah. And it still didn't. Like, once you cut him off, you cut a resistance head off, and it takes a while to...
I mean, think about what would have happened if the Germans would have got to Churchill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Like,
especially
if the Germans,
before he got us involved.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? They would have changed the history of everything,
One
right? One person. And I think you're right about Massoud, man. I think if they didn't kill him on September 9th with a freaking bomb and a video camera when they were essentially doing an interview with him, I think it would have been a far different war.
Far different. Well, I mean, if you're on Osama bin Laden's from his, you got to kill him.
Oh, yeah.
This is the guy that has protected these people in that valley time and time and time and time again. And probably you got to kill him in a sneaky way.
Yep.
Because he's good.
Yeah. And they did.
And they did.
Unfortunately, they did. You know what I mean? As messed up it is, and I mean,
and like how much time, effort, and money went into developing Massoud and the Mujahideen, dude. Let's call it from 72 on.
Oh, fucking ridiculous.
Dollars. We could call it dollars and man hours, and I don't know what the numbers would be.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised how many big bags of money were very.
Yeah. What's interesting is my interpreter Cameron. I've had him on the show as well, and I'm writing a book now to kind of tell about his people and our experience, and he's Tajik. He grew up in the same district as Ahmad Shah Massoud. His dad's name is Ahmad Shah. No shit.
That's cool.
It's not the same guy, but that's a common name
I get
for the Tajiks, and that's his bloodline. And so here, when I think back, I'm writing this book, however many 12 years later, but when I think back to him invading with us, he hated them. He hated the Taliban. Yeah. And I was always like, how could this man hate his own people? It's not his own people.
No.
The Taliban aren't his people. Mm-hmm. His bloodline's been protecting the people of Afghanistan for a long time.
Well, I mean...
Or at least the people from his district.
It's interesting, right? Because, I mean, even if you think of the word Afghanistan, right? That's like... That country was made up after World War II. Like, and we did not have the cultural understanding and or respect that we should have had and that I think that we have today. And the fact that, like, cool, like, the Hazaras, the Pashto, and the Tajiks, right? These are their tribal areas. Like, you can't sit there and just make a country when there isn't a country.
And put all of them under one reigner,
one
ruler.
And what do you get at that point, right? Then you get whoever the strongest one is going to essentially take over and not 100%. Relinquish control, which they actually did relinquish control. I mean, I was there. Unfortunately, it didn't last for very long because the Taliban went over. And I mean, I don't know. I just... I think that the way that we pulled out of there was just.
I think I want to get to that and touch on that a little heavier too. But all right, well, take me back to when's the first time you go into Afghanistan?
The first time I went into Afghanistan, I think was 14. No, 14.
Okay, so you're there post me.
Yeah.
I did Marja in 10. That was my last deployment period.
Yeah. Came
back, been an instructor, but in 10 it was wild in Helmand.
Oh yeah.
I want to say my guys that went back in 11 had some pretty wild times. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like wild until we left.
Yeah.
In Helmand.
Yeah. I mean,
which that should be like a lesson in right there. Like if we're still in firefights, if coalition forces are still in firefights, weekly, if not daily, why are we pulling out? Yeah. What are we doing kind of thing? But
I have my own take on that, and what we probably should have could have done is like, cool, like, hey, we're here now. Sorry, but I mean, we're gonna have a base over there, and we're still gonna do CT operations, counterterrorism operations, and I mean, y'all can just kind of deal with it at that point because unfortunately, y'all killed 4,000 of our people, and they originated out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, most of them were Saudis, of course, that we know that now. But
Sure.
that's kind of, ultimately, like, when it's broken and you can't fix it, then, I mean, I understand, like, doing a tactical retreat, but a tactical retreat where you kind of retreat and hold. Like, we totally gave up our foothold over everything, and essentially the second we left, obviously you saw what happened to the government. We completely stood up that government. We stood up the armed forces. I mean, they wouldn't even go out with that ISR. You know what I mean? They were just like, no. And we kind of, obviously we were doing the best that we could when we were over there, but we had to have understood that our resources were limited, because resources are always limited. You know what I mean? Like, obviously in an ideal state, an ideal world, like, we would have been able to provide you with resources forever, right? But we know that it wasn't going to happen, especially in a democracy, which we have right now, right? But ultimately I feel like we should have been like, okay, cool, like, we got Kandahar, we're going to be on this hilltop, and this is where the Americans are going to be. You know what I mean? Like,
if you continue to fuck with us,
yeah,
then...
you want to have terrorist operation stuff, we're going to have people in helicopters that are going to come knock on your door at nighttime, and you're probably not going to have a good time with it. Which obviously, the government would have to deal with whatever they had to do. We probably would have had a SOFA agreement, which we had over there. But just, man, we just kind of just bounced in 2 seconds. I mean,
I don't understand the tactics of bouncing either. Like, okay, let's say we're going to bounce.
Phase 5 operations is transition, right? Transition is always the hardest thing, but you can't tell me that you didn't have 20 fucking years to figure that out.
20 years to figure it out, and the best you could fucking come up with was, let's fall into H-Kaya?
Right. Yep. And I flew in and out of there so many times, man. Then what happens, right? Marines got blown up and fucking died.
Fuck yeah. And like, I don't know, like, if you're out there in the listening audience and you haven't watched the HBO special about H-Kaya, you should watch it, because what was shown here, and I'm super excited. I'm interviewing the gunner of 8th Marines that was on H-Kaya when all that, the pullout happened, Gunner Bill Callan, this week, and we're gonna find out from the horse what exactly went down. But from what I saw on the HBO special, there was so much more than what the news was covering, and then what they had to do to clear the airport was absolutely insane. Just to clear the landing field of 27,000 people that didn't want to listen. It's insane what happened over there. And to think that maybe if we would have fallen in to Bagram with standoff,
Bagram did have a lot of standoff.
bigger airfield.
Yep. Yeah, it did. And I mean,
we could maintain eyes on the prison instead of turning 5,000 people into a wave.
You had the mountains all around it where you could have set up checkpoints in order to help out with the refugee flux.
I don't understand. And maybe I'll never understand. Maybe it's just that it was bad planning, and that's what it is, and we got to learn from that. Like, okay, we had some bad planning.
I think it was a bad strategic decision. I think it was a good strategic decision to pull out conventional forces, but it was carried out with horrible execution. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, Len, like, you could not have told me, like, Osama bin Laden right now is smiling in his Waterloo fucking grave right now with a picture of a fucking C-17 taking off with people hanging onto it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And ultimately, like I said, I do not believe going forward in the future of armed conflict is going to be like big conventional wars. I don't think it's going to make any sense to do that. I think it will be, obviously, we're always going to position for power, because ultimately you cannot negotiate from a point of weakness. It doesn't make sense.
Well, it won't work. Yeah,
it just doesn't work. You're just going to get mowed over, right? It just does not work. But ultimately, like, that shit's going to have to be part of the past, because it's not going to work. Resistance is always going to be there. You're going to instantly have to go to cities, right? And, look at any sort of military philosopher, right? Sun Tzu or whatever else, the last place you ever want to be is fighting in a city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Fallujah.
You're going to just lose.
Yeah.
Even if you win, you lose.
Even if you win, you lose.
That we learned that the hard way over 20 years of how to take that, which is stupid. But and obviously, when you're going on a conquest or you're going to make a point like the United States is making, if a city needs to go into, you go into a city.
Of course. I mean,
and especially now, I mean, in Sun's day is a little bit different, as far as where cities were and what cities meant, what military means or resourcing was attached to such cities. Like, because here, going after a city is probably like, if you're being smart about it, tactical nuclear warheads. You don't send people into a city anymore.
Yeah, if public opinion didn't matter.
And there's that, but
Yeah.
does it matter to China?
Yeah, man. I
You think
to,
so?
I
Like
think
our
to an
opinion?
extent. You mean our green dollars that we spend on boosting up their economy and everything else? I think it matters, man. You know what I mean? And I don't think that they're going to want to lose that type of economy. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I think China is capitalist now, right? They want to call it, communist with Chinese characteristics is their like slogan or whatever else. But trust me, they had a couple of geographical areas that they designated to be, capitalist. And there was 5 of them, I think, when they started off. I think there's now like 1,000 of them.
Because they're thriving.
Because they're thriving. Because it makes sense. Because capitalism, to me, makes sense.
For sure.
Right? At the end of the day, it's like, cool, do you present a better product? Then your product is going to sell more. You know what I mean? It's very fucking simple. It's just that people want to be like, oh, well, that's not fair, this and that. But that's not what capitalism is. Capitalism is the
Very
most...
not fair. I mean...
It's the most fair.
I would say the most fair.
It's the most
harder
fair.
you work, the better product you put out, the more you're going to get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to anybody about America that you're outside of this country. Talk to anybody. They're like, I want to go to America because I can be whoever I need to be in America.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I think it's interesting that so many Americans like want to talk shit about our own country, but like, bro, like we have a very special country here. It
Absolutely.
Has, we have fucking 2 great big oceans that have kept us very safe for a very long time, and we have great human beings here, and you can literally do anything legally that you want to do and be as successful as you possibly can
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't much hear super successful Americans talking bad about America unless it fits a political agenda.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to get on and be like, yeah, man, I'm killing it. I hate it here.
Yeah.
Right. So what you have is a bunch of people not killing it that hate it here, or for some reason feel like they just don't have the resources necessary. And it's like, by being born in America, you're among like the top 15% wealthiest people on the planet as far as like how you live.
Oh yeah.
And what opportunities are for you. So if you can't make it here, and like this is like a message out to you, maybe it should be a shot across the bow or like a shock. It's like, if you think that about here and you can't make it here, you will not make it anywhere else on the planet. This is the number one place to make it.
Know thyself and seek self-improvement.
Yeah, just get better. Understand that you ain't killing it, and there's a reason that you're not killing it. So you need to get better. And that goes for any profession. The Marines, you don't have a choice. If you fall, we all fall. You kill it.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else, there's less drastic consequences. But what I say is, like, I think there's just a ton of people that are living paycheck to paycheck in jobs that they thought they were just going to have for a little bit until they pursued their dreams. And now they're not pursuing their dreams. And they're sitting in jobs that they hate, a slave to their paycheck because life happens, and they feel like they can't go do what they dream about their whole life. And what a depression.
No,
this is what I dreamed about.
Yeah, make a plan and execute, dude.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, at the
action
end of the
plan.
day, make a plan and execute. And if that plan is where you're at right now, then be the best you can possibly be at your fucking job, dude.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Be like,
Absolutely.
cool, like, how do I make a little bit more money? How do I get a little bit more success, or whatever your measure of success is. And it's just like we were talking about earlier. It's just challenging yourself. Don't ever don't be complacent with yourself. Because if you're complacent with yourself, who the hell else is going to push you?
Especially as an adult. If you're an adult, well, and that's why I think
kids too.
mentorship is so
All of
important. For me, when I wasn't pushing myself, I had my mentors going, "Hey, how many pages you did this week? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Let's lock in." And sometimes I need that.
A little check and balance, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's like, "Hey, humble yourself."
Right.
Like, there's work to be done. You know what I mean? And you need to have those people around you to keep you on track.
Yeah. And I think it's depending on like how big your circle is, right? Like, my wife pushes me, my kids push me. I mean, there's days where like I look at my daughter and I'm like, dude, she's crushing me today, and good on her, man. You know what I mean? Like, I need to, turn my little frown upside down, and my like life is good, and I need to push forward, dude. And yeah, because I got both of them going to Muay Thai and shit, man. So they're all about it, man.
Good.
Yeah, unfortunately, they started practicing on each other a little bit, but
they'll
figure that out. I mean,
as long as they know what tap means, we're good.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But I think we're talking about like purpose and a void and transitioning, and I kind of wanted to kind of discuss that a little bit, and some of the stuff that I went through. Obviously, like, man, I would say that I chased war. I chased it like my entire career. I got some of it, not as much as I 15, 16-year-old Mark thought he was going to have through
Sure.
his career or whatever else, which I honestly, like, you know what I mean? I don't know how it ever works out for anybody. I think you always want to think that something's going to be one way or not. And I mean, I think I'm blessed to be where I'm at today, and, you know, I'm pretty healthy, pretty mentally strong and everything else. So I think it all kind of happened for a reason. But either way, you know, I got diagnosed with this thing that I couldn't avoid. I couldn't fix it. And it just happened to me, probably because of some of my heritage, right? Jewish heritage has a higher propensity for ulcerative colitis and everything else. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I was essentially bleeding for like 2 straight years, and I was pushing through it. I was running A&S at the time. You know, I'd, you know, go bleed a little bit, go run the candidates for a 10-mile ruck run, come back, bleed a little bit more. And I was just like, oh, this is normal, right, doc? And they're like, oh, you probably got this wrong with you or whatever else. And, you know, I finally got it checked out in town. They're like, oh, yeah, you're fucked. But, you know, but think about, dude, that was a huge, like, humbling thing for me. Because I was never the type of person who was like, oh, no, I'll push through that. You know what I mean? You're not going to tell me I can't do something. You want to see me do something? Tell me I can't do it. And I'm going to try to push over it and, you know, overcome that obstacle. But here I was, you know, I got diagnosed. I was having to get out of this job that, like, it ain't easy getting into special operations. Like, it takes a lot of, like, freaking dedication, you know, and, like, mental endurance and a lot of sacrifice. Because, I mean, shit, you're away a lot. You know what I mean? I missed a lot of my kids' upbringing. Not so much my son, because I was an instructor at the time, but my daughter, I mean, I was gone all the fucking time. I mean, you can say the same thing. Like, when y'all were about back-to-back bumping out, you're gone. You sacrifice a lot. As you should. Especially as a new operator, you should not be home. Like, you should. There's so many different things that you need to get good at. In order.
And
to
the training that's available now to you.
Hell yeah. And then, you know, I was sitting there and I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I know I can't go be a team chief, which was what I was supposed to go be, because I had this like realization to myself. I was typing my thesis, and I was literally I couldn't type my thesis for more than an hour before, you know, I had to go freaking do whatever I had to do. And I was just like, I will be no way a benefit to a team right now, to the point where I'd be a detriment to a team. Like, if I deployed on a team right now, I'd be a detriment to them, because I would sit there and I would be bleeding when I was supposed to be.
What are you bleeding from?
Not in a good place.
Inside?
Yeah.
And then you have to go.
Oh, yeah. Ulcerative colitis is pretty much based off your large intestine, and you just essentially, like, it develops ulcers and it just eats itself, and you just bleed all the time, and you don't digest food properly. It's just it's a no pun intended, it's a shitty disease.
Roger.
Yeah, whatever.
That sucks.
It does suck. But you know.
But you're right. Like, what are you going to do in combat if that's happening?
Oh, you can't. I would not be a benefit to a team. Like, my intellect, my strength, or whatever else. At the end of the day, if I was going to be sitting there worried about, you know, how close is a fucking bathroom to me, or like whatever else. I mean, I have to take medication that has to be refrigerated. Do you think you're going to have like a refrigerator for your medication when you're in Afghanistan? Right. It just wasn't a thing anymore, and it was hard. You know what I mean? That was a hard thing to swallow, because I had worked really hard to get to where I was at, and I really loved where I was at. The dudes that I was working with, just everything about the command, it was fucking awesome. Yeah. You know, and I was sitting there and we're like, okay, cool, that's done. Now what? And then, like you said, man, you know, I get out and, you know, I get into the mortgage industry, which I very much thought was like the road less traveled by. You know, I was just going to do this typical operator thing, like go, you know, FBI, or go work for a letter agency, or go contract, go pick up a gun and go do something else for something else. And I was like, this would be like my comfort zone. So I was just like, you know, fuck it, I'm going to go try something new. I'm going to go try something completely different. Not a day in my life did I ever think that I was going to be into mortgages. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, you know, I took the road less traveled by, and I mean, I got out into this civilian world, man. I so much found that, like, I was so, like, bred mentally to play for keeps. You know what I mean? Like, that's all you ever fucking think about when you're a Marine, dude. You're like, oh, cool, like, we're gonna go fucking fight. And then,
what's next? Go.
That you get into the civilian world, man, and they'll sit there and talk themselves out of a good idea, right and left, over and over again. I was like, dude, if it's a good idea, like, obviously have your, like, own little schema, like your OODA loop that you go through in your head. I mean, if you talk yourself out of it, that's fine. If it's a truly bad idea, but so many people have their inner critic that just sits there and just down talks themselves so much that they don't ever do anything. It's like paralysis by analysis. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, cool, man. Like, you could already had that done. Like, you're sitting there second guessing yourself, and I was like, just put pen to paper, whatever your purpose is, and just go forth and do great things, dude. You know what I mean? Like, be bold.
That's right.
And you know, I very much use that into this new endeavor, man. But yeah, I mean, like you were talking about, man, like, I instantly saw, like, cool, like, I never, like, obviously was part of the VFW, but never like went to their meetings and stuff. And I went there, I was like, holy shit, this is like true democracy, which was kind of interesting, going to their meetings and everything else. And then, you know, how do I help people? How do I get back? How do I like save and raise money and so on and so forth? Because I mean, ultimately, like, I feel like I'm in a position where I can help more people than I ever probably could have when I was in, as far as like monetarily wise or whatever else. Obviously, when you were in, like, you had a little bit different
help,
different type of help, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's very much what I'm trying to do today, man. As many people as I can educate, as many people as I can set up for financial success going forward. Because, dude, Marines, how much fucking, like, what did you take the
0?
Yeah, did you do the marine finance?
I mean, I did it, but
yeah.
I don't know what that. It helps a little bit.
No. Yeah.
It doesn't help a lot.
No.
Yeah, and Marines aren't good with finances, especially during wartime. Turns out.
Yeah.
You know, especially Marines that know they're going back in 7 months.
Correct.
They're going to come home and wild out.
Yep.
And then, oh my God, you made it through 2 or 3 and you have nothing to show for in your bank because of it. I was one of those Marines. Yeah. Like, you know, so I think it's important what you're doing. And I think it's important, especially, are you affiliated with SkillBridge, with RRG?
So as far as SkillBridge goes, we are actually part of the CARE Coalition. Is how we went and did it. But no, I mean, obviously we're trying to bring people in. RRG honestly is more of a network, so it's kind of free.
Okay.
I don't charge anybody for anything, and it's
I
really
just mean, like, could veterans come and intern at RRG for SkillBridge?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we could definitely set them up with that type of avenue of approach, and we do. And like RRG is kind of for like realtors that I work with, right? And then I'm on like the mortgage side of the house. So as far as the mortgage side of the house, hell yeah, we have people that are doing that already.
Okay.
We come through, we'll train them up, teach them how so they can get like a taste for it or whatever else. I mean, there's not a lot of sexy stuff about this job, right? Like, you know, ultimately you're dealing with numbers, and I mean, some people are about it and some people aren't. But you can help a shitload of people do this stuff, because a lot of people don't realize that they can like get a house, they can get an investment property, they can like set themselves up and their families up for financial success in the future. It's just that they didn't have the training, and they didn't have anybody that probably like really gave a shit about them. And I found that very early on when I first got out, and like I saw like, dude, like military people, especially like in North Carolina, like we need to be like a protected fucking class. We do, and here's why. We are inherently trusting, and anytime that you have like that inherent level of trust, which is 100% necessary for your military job, it can get abused.
Absolutely. It does.
It does.
Around here, especially.
It's a 27% interest rate on that new Camaro, bro.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And you watch it happen. Like in a lot of our platoons, we wouldn't allow it to happen.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's go with you. 20 plus now. Out of here, dude.
Yeah, I listened to the podcast on the way up here.
Yeah, no cars this month.
Yeah.
That was my platoon sergeant.
That's awesome.
My platoon sergeant, Joe Wright, man, he was like that. Yeah, we're not doing marriages this month. Check back next month. Yeah. Hey, we're not doing Camaros this month. Yeah. Like, we got training to do. We're going to Afghanistan. It's just not on the docket.
Right.
And motherfuckers would just believe him. Like, I'll tell the wife I'm going to get married later.
He probably also kind of knew that, like, if he told him to not do it, they probably would be like, fuck you, I'm going to go do it. Maybe, you know what I mean? But the way he told him was
ease him around. Yeah, we're going to get to it when I have some time. I want to make sure you're not getting screwed. And he would, though. He would go out with guys.
No, 100%.
Be like, no, he's charging you 27% interest. You don't know what that means. I do. I'm saving you, like, however many $1,000 by not letting you do this. I'm helping you. So, yeah, that was good about that. I don't know if all commands did that or do that, but...
I mean, good leaders.
Yeah, it's...
Right, good leaders are going to figure out...
Depends on who's doing it,
yeah, good leaders are going to figure out their way to help in ways that are not necessarily in their circle.
Right. A lot of that's just connecting with people, right? Like, we didn't even know each other. We were able to help somebody. Just connected. And it was just having the faith to go out and say, hey, I need help. And whatever that help is with. Maybe you need help personally with something. Maybe you need help helping somebody. But we are much stronger, especially in the community that we come from. We're much stronger leaning on each other and asking.
Hell yeah.
You know, understanding you're not the best, and then asking for help for that improvements, for sure. And, you know, I think a lot of times that's a hard thing for a Marine to do, or, you know, just a confident adult human being, like, doesn't want to ask for help, but if you ask for help, man, you might get help that you didn't even know was there. Which
what's the inner critic thing again, right? So like, oh, I don't want to ask for help because then he's going to think that I'm not knowledgeable enough or that I'm not as financially sound as I should be. And it's like an inner critic that talks you out of asking for help. And it's the same thing when you're talking about veteran suicide, right? They're not asking for help because they think, A, nobody cares, or it's that inner critic in their head or whatever else. But I guarantee you, if they would have called up one of their buddies that was where they were at or whatever else, that dude would help them.
Absolutely.
You know, he'd be like, hey, man, how you doing? How's your family? You want to go get lunch or grab a beer? And, like, just something as simple as sitting across from somebody that understands where you're coming from, it's profound.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell it to guys all the time. It's like, make the call. Make the call. Because you might be making the call for you, calling to ask for help, and you might be helping the guy that picks up the phone.
You never know where
and
they're
you're
at.
both helping each other. You know what I mean? If you have that thought, like, man, I really miss so-and-so, or I should call so-and-so, then you should do it right then.
Yeah.
Make that call and just tell somebody. Even if you're doing good, make a call. I try to make calls to my Marines all the time. Hey, you good? Tracking? And it might just be that, but they know somebody's still thinking about them. Somebody still got their back, and that's comforting. I think we need to do more of that. That's another thing I liked about what you're doing with raising awareness to the Raider Foundation, and veteran suicide, especially out of those cruises. And you even had some Gold Star family members come out and kind of talk, which I appreciated you for that. But I also appreciated that she had the the gumption to come out. And
it wasn't easy for her to do.
No, 100%. I know it wasn't. And but it was real, and I think it impacted a lot of the people that were standing there, because not everybody's heard those stories, not everybody knows those people, and it was impactful. It was impactful to me. I really appreciate what you're doing with all of that.
I mean,
big time.
Everybody struggles, man, and that's what people kind of need to realize, right? To struggle is not weak, right? Everybody does it. To let that struggle be like overcoming, then hey, like you need to probably maybe talk to somebody or like have some mental fortitude to kind of be like, okay, cool, this is an obstacle. I need to overcome said obstacle and move around it and get better. And or hey, like I am struggling with this. Like this thought has been in my head for the last couple of weeks. You know, talk to your wife. That's not a good avenue for you. Call your buddies up, you know, and it's a relationship. And what people don't realize is like once you get out, man, you have to maintain that relationship. It's not like
it's work. You have to put into it. You're only going to get out of it if you put into it.
Correct.
That's a fact.
Yeah. I mean, I still, dude. I mean, I keep tight with it's not a huge group of buddies, but you know, like you got your 3 to 5, man.
Oh yeah.
You just got to maintain your 3 to 5. Shit, if everybody maintained 3 to 5, everybody be good. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think also like when we're talking about help, you might not be struggling mentally. I had Chris Jones on here. He's a JTAC, Special Forces operator for the Air Force. Phenomenal human being. He made a great point. He's like, we are all retiring right now. Our group of warriors that waged war for 20 years is either already retired or right here at retirement 2024. All those people from 04, 05, 06 are coming right into that. And it's like you have a wealth of people that you either served with or know somehow from your time in that are out here in the civilian world already killing it, already doing things. You know what I mean? Don't feel like I've watched guys have success just going on their social media like, hey guys, I'm retiring in 3 months. I need something. Who's got something?
Oh, yeah.
40 comments, dude, from just the people inside their circle that say, hey, we got you here. We got you here. We got you here. We got you here. Hey, it's something. It's a step. You know, it's whatever. Do that. Take advantage of that. Understand that we're all out here helping people. And that's another thing I kind of want to segue into. Can you talk more about what the Business Collective does?
Yeah. So the Veterans Business Collective pretty much leverages the thought of, you know, with many you are strong, right? With many voices you are heard, right? And that's essentially what we do, man. We meet up once a month. There's a Wilmington chapter, a Jacksonville chapter, and there's a couple other chapters that are popping up. But essentially what it is, man, is like you have this entire like business package that you want to get into. If you're not talking about going into the contract world, but we have that stuff too, right? Like literally like every day it seems like there's a, hey, is anybody looking for a job in Bridgeport? Anybody that's done this training or whatever else that wants a job? And we very much, it's about supporting each other. giving each other a sense of camaraderie and purpose again. And we also very much like levy our legislature branches and like, you know, to actually push forward with things that are going to benefit veterans
At the congressional level.
At the congressional level, right? Like, you know, like the psychedelic and some of that other stuff that's going forward in order to like help treat PTSD and everything else. You know, like we have very much pushed that to the point where Chase Roth has went up and talked to the Senate before about, you know, hey, like, dude, I have a phone, and like I don't want to tell you how many people out of my phone like did not seek help, and you know, obviously started self-medicating probably, and then just kind of went down south after that. But you know, that's kind of what we're all about. And I mean, ideally, you know, a guy should be transitioning, go to one of those meetings, and then at least he has 10 other people, similar backgrounds, in 10 different avenues of business or wherever else you want to talk about. Hey, man, how is it really like where you're at? So on and so forth. And a lot of those, I mean, we can recruit from that as well, man. And I mean, because at the end of the day, like, good manpower is hard to find.
Absolutely.
I mean, and then you already are talking to somebody, you're having a beer with your boss possibly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, man, I got these opportunities for you. And, you know, ideally, if it's up to me, I'm trying to work with the MCCS in order to get us part of the actual TRS seminar, where every person that got out would actually come and talk to us for an hour. We'd probably have to do it via Zoom to start off with and whatever else. But essentially what I would want to do is like, cool, you're out now. Like, hey, you want to be an entrepreneur? Here's a business package, man. Here's an accountant. Here's a lawyer. Here's a media person. You know what I mean? And, you know, if you need some business finance, we got that for you too. But like, here's your package, man. Like, it's already vetted. It's ready for you. Ready for you. If this, you know, let us help you be bold.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that you don't just go back and go, you know, work at, you know, some whatever manager store back home or whatever else, because that's all that you think is an availability to you because you were an 0331 and you just think you know how to use a machine gun. I would argue that hell no, you don't know how to just use a machine gun. You know how to lead people.
Personnel management and leadership
you know how to
skills.
fucking lead people, man.
Tenacity, coming into work, showing up when you say you're going to show up. Those are big things in the civilian world.
Trainability is huge, man. Like if you like, ultimately that's what the Marine Corps really beats you into in like boot camp. What is discipline, right? Instant obedience to orders, which means that you can be trained. If you don't have instant obedience to orders, at least you know the good orders to listen to them, then where you're at.
And how can you be formed for something else if you couldn't be formed for that?
I mean, that's ultimately what we select upon, man.
And so how often does the collective meet? Like quarterly, or
we meet once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month. Yep. And then there's a coffee social once a month too. But and then we're endeavoring to kind of make, you know, some sort of like a social type event like once a quarter, not to make it too much, right? Because ultimately everybody's hustling, everybody's you know, got families and everything else. But you know, we meet once a month, man. We show up. It is somewhat structured in the beginning, and that structure really makes it a little bit like, it makes it, you know, kind of profound because, you know, you're going to hear where everybody's coming from, what tribe they come from, what the business they do and everything else. And then right afterwards, then you can go out and seek out that person and find them.
Exchange cards, information, have a chat. See, I've been part of a group like that, or I've went to a group like that, let's say, meeting up in Ohio where I've got some family, and my dad's, you know, he's heavy into it. And theirs is almost like a lead generation resource where, you know, once a month or once a quarter they're going to show up, and with theirs it's like they only have one
You're talking about BNI.
So they only have one person in that profession. So there might be 40 people that show up there, but they're the only one representative for that chapter that does real estate, and then only one that does mortgage finance, and only one that does gutters, and only one that does podcasts. And only, so when they come, you're getting 39 leads potentially from people wanting to come do your podcast, go do your gutters, go do your auction. And I think that's great, but that's not how this is. There could be multiple in this.
No, 100%. No, there's not just like one person that seats or whatever else. Anybody that's a veteran, you can come. Like obviously it's more geared towards business, right? Because obviously if you're doing just like contractor GS type of stuff, but I mean, even those guys still will show up because there's a level of camaraderie there. Because dude, I mean, like,
well, and they could recruit potentially too. Like, hey man, I got a great GS job for you. Somebody in your lane or whatever. But
ultimately, like, I mean, but these are all guys that have kind of already figured out. I mean, there's dudes that have been in business for 20 years. There's there's multi-millionaires there and everything else. And like, you can be a young corporal, just got out, doesn't know anything about business. You can show up there and at least you can get some mentorship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Exchange some numbers, find some people who have made the mistakes that you were going to make, and try to make yourself
somebody
better.
that's generally going to give a shit about you, right? And they're going to be like, cool, man, what's your plan? I mean, you're going to talk to somebody and they're going to try to help you, ultimately.
And that's what people are there for. They're there to help you. They're there to come together and say, hey, what can I do to make your business better?
How can I help?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that, dude, and it's going to be successful.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And the bigger it gets, just the more that evolves into, I would say an unstoppable resource for an entrepreneur if you're in the area.
Well, and then even more than that, right? The more members that we have, the bigger voice that we have, and the more things that we can be like, cool, like, veterans do need to be a protected class in North Carolina. Now we can actually go talk about that. And we actually have like names on a petition and so on and so forth, right?
Absolutely.
With many voices, we are strong, man. This is how it's going to be. It can't just be one person talking all the time.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So what do you have on here that I don't know about? What do you got going on?
So you haven't talked about the village mission yet.
I want to hear more about it.
So, it was a JSOC guy and another Marine Raider. They got out. They were actually a member of the Honor Foundation cohort together, and they came up with, one of these things after we pulled out of Afghanistan.
Okay.
It's called the village mission. And not to get in super deep into the weeds about how they do what they do, because obviously there's some connections there. But essentially what they're doing is, it's very much about combating human trafficking, which frankly speaking, like if you traffic in people, like I think you're fucking scum.
Absolutely.
And just, it's disgusting.
For any reason.
Any reason at all.
Yeah.
But it's also about helping out our allies that were left behind over there in Afghanistan, and how they get those people out using, some of the things that they kind of knew from previous lives. And getting them out. But essentially, obviously, like the guy that thought it up, I mean, this guy has got a heart of gold, man. Like literally, like put all of his own money into it and whatever else.
Sure.
And, they've set up the infrastructure in order to help people out. It's just now it's talking about funding. And, the more funding that they can get, I mean, you can go on my website, RaiderRealtyGroup.com, and you can donate. It'll go straight to them. And, they're trying to gather $12,000, and that gets the first whole family out into safety. And then obviously once that is completed, it's rinse, wash, and repeat after that. But I mean, ultimately I look at it like this, man, is you keep turning your back on allies, like you're gonna wind up with that, right? And money doesn't mean, like, that's not deep, right? But when it's like, cool, like, hey, come help us out in the future or whatever else, man, they're gonna have a memory of how that went down, how that turned out the last time. And I would argue that, like, the point to point, like you and your interpreter, man, like y'all are still tight. You know what I mean? I had guys that I knew over there, and then great human beings, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're just stuck.
They're just stuck right now, and they're stuck in a tyrannical regime over there that's literally, man, like, it's not mainstream because people are just frankly
bad though.
Well, they're just frankly sick of they're sick of news of Afghanistan. But I mean, the shit that's going down over there is not pretty.
No, it's not good.
And humans shouldn't be treated like that.
No. I agree.
And I mean, I think, we are the wealthiest nation in the world still. And I mean, I think we can help, you know what I mean? Like, you as an American can donate and actively, be like, I donated, I helped to get a family out. And I'd sleep better at night. Absolutely.
I think that we need to help. And that's been one of my longtime critiques about this pull out, and about how we just operate when we're done with war. We just cut everybody loose and we bail. We get who we can get, and everybody else is fine. It's like, that is not the ethos of the warfighter. That is not the American way, in my opinion. Is just, oh, well. It's like, what happens when we need them again? Right. Like, when we go invade this next country, how many of their indig personnel are going to be lining up to help us after they watch what we just did to these people?
Yeah, shit matters, man.
Yeah, it's going to matter. Yeah. It's going to matter in the war that my kids fight. Unfortunately.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully people can kind of figure out globalization and realize that, hey, like, we're all going to be a lot better with each other. I know we're always going to have militaries in order to, like, show force or whatever else, but I'm truly hopeful in the future that our kids don't have to fight an next big war, man. Cause,
I hope not. They got MRAPs and MATVs now and Cobras.
They got all sorts of shit, man. But shit, I mean, at the end of the day, like, let's be honest, they probably wouldn't mind living in America either.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean?
Some people said they hate us because they ain't us. Yeah, well, that may be true in this instance. There could be a lot of hate when you don't even have the opportunity that our citizens complain about.
Yeah. Well, I think fundamentally, man, once you get knowledge like open knowledge, which is the internet, is very much helped out with that, man. Once that's come, and you can really like, you know, use a little bit of critical thinking and be like, oh, this is how it actually is, not what you just told me, right? And you take that knowledge away, they're not gonna just be cool with that. Nobody's gonna be okay with you being like, cool, what you're saying, I had like the fucking key to every library in the world, and you just took it away from me. They're not gonna be cool with that.
No, that's my hope. I hope that in the 20-something years that we were there, we ignited a spark within them that may not be realized for 10 years. It may not be realized for 15 years. But when them kids that were going to school start getting to military age, male age, and they start to get recruited in, but they had a little bit of education, they had a little bit of freedom.
Internet.
They had a little bit of peace. Yeah. And maybe that was going back to the beginning of why we want to educate our enemies, because if our enemies continue to be people who are radically shifted via the Quran, the Bible, whatever they use to put, it's genius. It's a little bit of evil genius. But if it's a cultural thing that can be educated out because of open flow of information, then maybe that's why we try to train them, and maybe that's why we try to build them back up.
You know, with knowledge is power, right? But, you know, I think unfortunately there's some people that want to use knowledge for nefarious reasons.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I think knowledge sets you free. And you can't fake all that shit. You can't sit there and lie to them. And of course, you know, you want to go back to Goebbels, right? The big lie. People believe what they hear often, or whatever else, right? But that shit doesn't even matter, right? Because, I mean, who won? Like, the Nazis lost. Sorry, bud. Like, you know, fuck you and your regime. And like, knowledge is just it's everywhere, bro. And dude, give it another 20 years, there's gonna be fucking ISR above Afghanistan just kicking down Wi-Fi to them.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just not gonna be.
I mean, they're
way.
doing it in Ukraine, right? With Starlink and stuff to keep their stuff open.
We're interconnected now, man, and it just doesn't make sense that you know, until like we really start trying to vie over like just resources. But I think hopefully we're smart enough to get away from like oil and that type of resource type of stuff. It just doesn't benefit us to fucking be in conflict with each other, and it's never going to benefit a regime to take knowledge away. Now, obviously, if you look at like China and us, we have a very like different kind of like apparatus, right? They have a lot more control over their population. But at the end of the day, their population is okay with that, and they've signed that social contract.
Maybe right now, right?
Right now.
For now.
Their
population's exploding into the streets as we speak. So we'll see how that goes. But eventually, like, it's the thing about China. There's a lot of people over there, and when they get wised up to say, no, the rest of the world is not welded in their apartments, we're coming out. You're going to have to make a change at some point. At some level, there will have to be a change, or else they'll have
people like freedom.
They'll have a big issue on their hands over there.
People like to be free, man. People like to think what they want to think, and they want to read what they want to read, and they want their daughters to go to school, and they want their daughters to be just as successful as they are. I mean, obviously I'm a Western person, so that's my Western thought process or whatever else, but I mean, I can only think about how I would like to be treated, right? Treat others as you would want to be treated, right? The golden rule, right?
Absolutely.
Kind of makes sense. And ultimately, man, I just don't think it's going to work out in the future for anybody that wants to fucking try to, you know, hold somebody down.
Yeah, do you think that it's so crazy because there are certain countries that control what internet gets in and gets out of their country, right?
Until people get smart and they have VPNs and fucking go through those firewalls.
Right. I'm just saying, have we reached a level of tech and of interconnectability that everyone on the globe should know what freedom is, at least have seen it or not? You think we're not there? Because there's a lot of rock villages that I invaded in the Middle East.
Right.
That didn't have, there's no way. So you think we're 10 years out from everybody having satellites that give them all wireless internet?
Maybe not 10, you know what I mean? But I think in the next like 20 years, if you look at technology.
What would a regime do? Like if you were Korea and you can't stop that, and now they have access to what really is going on, then what?
You know, the South Koreans send balloons over there
with information.
Oh fuck yeah, they do.
Yeah,
dude. At the end of the day, bro, like, information is power, and information is free for the most part. Obviously, of course, you can pay for like whatever you want to do, but I mean, at the end of the day, like,
truth. Yeah, like even our own NGOs, dude, are getting most intelligence these days from open source.
Oh yeah,
because people just put it out.
It's faster.
Yeah, it's fast, and people, you don't have to break any rules. You don't have to snoop. It's like, oh, Okay, I know your whole schedule.
Yeah.
I know what you ate and what it looked like.
Yeah, we're too interconnected, man. People want to put on their like tinfoil hats and shit, and then carry a cell phone in their pocket.
I understand that they're listening. I just accept it. It's
Yeah,
like,
bro.
well, this is part of my life.
That
They're
was
gonna
a-
have to know.
Well, it's just
I don't like it.
Well, no, it's a social contract that we have with our government, right? But the social contract is supposed to be where you're not supposed to be invading my home.
Yeah.
Right? Like, obviously, if I'm out in the public spaces and interacting in the public, then cool. Like, you have the right to fucking make sure that I'm not going to hurt somebody else or whatever else. But inside my own home, like, we should have a level of privacy there. But, you know...
Well, and companies and private companies.
Oh, yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
a private company, there's no reason that the, Congress or the White House should be keeping an eye on you.
No.
Unless any reason, like until you have made it, but then it's like, how do they know?
Yeah. Well,
Like-
you do some dumb shit. And nowadays,
If you get flagged, yeah, you're gonna get flagged. But
Well, there's just unfortunately there's like a weird thing nowadays where people want to get famous doing evil shit. You know what I mean?
just click
It's
shit, dude.
just-
That's
it's
famous
dis-
shit.
It's disgusting, and stuff like that is unfortunately like you post on Facebook that you're about to go do something, like you should have a cop knocking on your door that day, 100%. Straight up. If you say that you're
You
going
mean
to
the fair? Like if you're gonna hurt somebody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
There should be repercussion to that. Yeah, because if I tell you I'm going to come kill you, there should be repercussion to that too. You should call the cops and be like, hey, this dude just said he was going to come kill me. If you're worried about that in a real way, if you're really worried
Yeah,
that was a
100%.
real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you're not allowed to do that.
No.
That's threatening,
Right.
violence by threat, and that's against the law.
Well, that's the thing about
Should be against the law on the internet too.
Absolutely. It's the thing about freedom, right? So my freedom is fine as long as my freedom
Doesn't
doesn't
affect your freedom.
overly impinge on your freedom.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we have a social contract with the government so that I don't have to worry about you coming and taking my my Lunchable.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
No, you're right.
But
I just think that time and time again, and I'm a little, I don't usually say this on here, but I'm a little disenfranchised, like, because it's like time and time again we have evidence of wrongdoing at high levels, and time again nothing happens, kind of thing. And it's like, for me and you, there's a certain level of rules, and then for other people there's a certain level of rules, and then for these people over here there's some different rules that they get to go by. And I think it's just America in general is fed up with that. Like, and I think it's all political sides, all political parties are guilty of doing the same kind of.
Well, it's the old adage, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think that we have these politicians, which I appreciate them being, in politics for a while, so they understand how to get things done. But there should be term limits.
100%.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't
Well, and
just
that's
be
the-
a
that's the-
politician for the rest of your fucking life, right? You should be
No,
like,
100%.
Cool, like, I served my country, just like you can't be in the military for your whole life. You know what I mean? You do 20, 30 fucking years, and you're like, cool, man, thank you for your service, and now go
Move
forth
along.
and do something else. But we have politicians that can essentially spend their entire adult lives in politics, and you can't tell me that that's normal. You have lost reality with what America actually
Especially
is.
when they're getting richer and richer and richer the whole time. It's like you're just becoming detached from your constituencies
Correct.
year by
Correct.
year.
Yep.
I think that's another telling thing. Like when you look at, let's just take the fallout. When the Taliban stormed Kabul and we're finally out of there, how old was their average guy that was taken over and being put in seats? He's a little older than some countries, but he's not like us. Like, you wouldn't have your grandmother at 80-something years old go watch your dogs for the weekend. I'm highly confident.
Yes.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't call my grandma up and ask her to do anything, much less run the damn country. And all these other countries around us, they have younger governments, and there's a reason they have younger governments, right?
Right.
We need to help. Like, that has to happen. And like, when I look into it, I think you could have, I don't even think executive order from the president can do it. So I think the only way you do it is them vote themselves into term limits, which won't happen.
Won't that be wow, wouldn't that be profound, dude?
Well,
They
it would
actually
take a
ever
bunch
did
of
it.
them. It would
Of
take a
course it
bunch of
would.
them, right? It would have to be a movement. But the only other way that I understand, like constitutionally, that anything can happen is called a Constitutional Convention of the States.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a certain petition with a certain amount of names signed on to it from a certain amount of states to hold a majority, and then they have to act on something. But they don't necessarily have to do anything, I don't think. Like, I don't know how that would work. Would it be a president saying, hey, I'm running on this, and I don't...
How bold would it be if the president's first executive order is that he was going to only do 4 years, right? Like, he would never do it because they'd be like, oh, well, I'm a lame duck president or whatever else. But at the end of the day, like, you want to talk about leadership, President gets
It
up
would take
there.
a guy on a second term to do it, right? Somebody that just said, I'm coming in. He only has one term left, and it's like, all right, baby. Everybody after me gets one term.
Well,
I'm less concerned about the president
I
having
think
term limits than
Yeah, well, he only gets to do 8 years.
he only
but
gets
still.
8 years. Some of these senators are getting 12, however many years they want. They just sit and sit and sit and sit.
Well, it's interesting that we've ratified, the Constitution in certain ways, but nowadays, if you ever talked about actually like putting in like to ratify the Constitution, people would think that you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a living document.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, frankly speaking, I think the president should be for 6 years. Because 4 years isn't enough to really implement change. You should do 1 6-year term, and you should say thank you.
And pass.
And that's it. That's it. You get your run. You get 1 6-year term.
I think we should put an age limit on the president, too. I really do.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be up to backdoor physicals that aren't released to the public about the commander-in-chief of the country on his physical and mental ineptitude. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be something that I, as an American citizen, wonder if my president is even okay to do menial tasks, let alone, because it's not like it's an easy job. I wouldn't say that to anybody. The stress
I can't even imagine.
involved in it, the anxiety involved in making
Every
decisions
single
every
day.
single day, constantly throughout the day, every day. And it's amazing that some of our presidents have even had the ability to do it at their ages and at their declines. But I think that's something that's necessary as well. And like the Constitution was written by a bunch of 20-year-olds.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Bold
people
ass
forget
20-year-olds.
about that.
Yeah,
The
man.
20-year-old kids, the same ones fighting your wars right now, were the ones that came together and wrote this living document, this beautiful, change the world document. And now we have a much older government, a much older established government that
I think
seems to try to tear it apart.
what I
sometimes.
wish they would do and kind of implement as far as education goes is I would think that throughout, at least in high school, they should really deep dive into Rome and actually how Rome actually went about, was created, the demise, and everything else. And if the American populace really did a deep study of Rome,
Maybe we wouldn't repeat it.
we would figure out some things, is all I'm saying. Call it crazy. If I'm president for a day, I'm going to be like, cool.
Rome, literature.
Teach Rome.
That's it.
I feel like I could walk away and sleep happy. Obviously I'm going to make a million mistakes, but
Some people aren't going to like the teachings of Rome these days, but
whatever,
no,
man.
I hear
History
you,
is
man.
history. Like, obviously, I know how history gets, it's written by the victor and everything else, and there's obviously the way it actually happened and then the way that we think it happened. I mean, I get that. That's time. Time's going to do that with anybody. And ultimately, I think for the most part, you're either going to remember things that were super vivid or you're going to think the better things. Because for the most part, people like to think about the past as being better than the future or present. But that's not necessarily true, right? Civilization progresses. It does not retract.
Right.
Unless Afghanistan retracted, right? The 70s in Afghanistan.
Way better place than
Way better. Freaking hydroelectric plants.
Yep.
Westernized
Westernized
just how it
guard.
was.
You weren't covered up.
Yeah, women were able to go to school, right? Everything else. But for the most part, if you look at civilization as a whole, it progresses. And, I think that, having a little bit of knowledge about how other republics, imploded would not be a bad thing for our republic.
I think that most of our kids don't understand our own constitution and our own government.
No.
To show them Rome. I think, and I'm not saying that's a good thing, it's a bad thing.
No.
But
I think it would give them a basis of knowledge.
Yeah, definitely.
And then if you really want to talk about Rome, I mean, in order to be a Roman politician, you had to serve.
Yeah, imagine that.
And not only just had to serve, but initially you had to have your own armor and your own sword, and then to serve. And then obviously, they then just started vying for who, had the most conquest or whatever else, which was part of the implosion of it. But I don't know.
A lot of Stoics come out of that area too, and I'm a big fan of the Stoic philosophy.
It's a great philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius and Titus and many of them that I read and study. We should probably all be doing that. You know? But
it's not a bad philosophy.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, dude, we've been going for a little while.
Yeah, bro. Man,
I appreciate it. I think it's been an insightful conversation. I would like to maybe have you back, and we'll talk offline maybe about that. But I'm very interested in your thesis and kind of doing a deep dive into that. Maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I would be happy to.
And
I love history, man.
I love history too, and I wrote my you want to call it a thesis, but my final, my biggest paper in school for Homeland Security, I wrote on Putin, and I'd like to compare some of that, and contrast some of that stuff, and do it up. But I appreciate you coming out and giving us a shot to hear some answers and hear, question you and see where you come from and what you've been doing. So again, guys, if you took anything away from this episode, please share it out to the guys that are transitioning. You got Raider Realty Group, the business connections that Marc has. Everything's going to be, I'm going to hyperlink everything, all of his contact information and his platforms in the episode. So make sure you check on that. And again, if you can give even if you can give $10, guys that are in my community, to the foundation, going over to get guys get other individuals out of Afghanistan and different war-torn areas. Man, we need 12,000 right off the jump to get the first family, and I'm assuming that a lot of you guys can make that happen. So if you're feeling giving, you're feeling charitable for the holidays, jump over to his site and let's get somebody home that laid it out on the line so that we could be there and be here safe and at home. I appreciate you guys. Marc, you got any final words, parting shots?
I just want to thank you for your time, man, and just, if anybody's out there, struggling or whatever else, by all means, man, pick up the phone and call somebody. You can call me. We'll have a conversation about whatever you need to have a conversation about at the time, dude. And just to the general audience, man, just take care of one each other, maintain those relationships, because those relationships are important.
Absolutely. All right, guys, there you got it. Until next time, choices, not chances.
Well, that concludes this episode. Thanks for listening to Choices Not Chances podcast. Please share, like, and subscribe wherever you listen or watch our podcast. You can also follow us on social media at Choices Not Chances podcast. Thanks, and have a great day.
Louisiana Gun Shop, your firearm headquarters, specializing in concealed carry guns, ammo, and training. You can get your Louisiana permit with us. Also a large selection of AR-15s. Or if you are that build-it-yourself type of guy or gal, we have all the parts to build and customize your own AR-15. Glock, SIG, Taurus, Ruger. We have all the brands, both in the store or at LouisianaGunShop.com.
Not too far. You're marking a building. Hit him. Yeah, that's good. That's a good shot. That's money. Yeah. Money.